Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Still going on the different setup here. Also, curious to see how many of you can guess what camera I'm using to stream. And I might tell you a whole story about that here in a minute, depending on how many people guess. But yes, so tonight, like every stream, if you've got questions, if you've been watching videos and you got questions about something I didn't answer in a video, this is the place to ask it. We can have more of a conversation. We can do all kinds of fun stuff. But also, we're going to talk a little bit about the A9. We're going to talk a little bit about the A6700 and the FX30, which I've got reviews coming soon. Not the Pocket 3, no. Barkley 107 drones. Not the A7S3 either. Sad story. Yesterday morning, I was taking equipment out of my car, and my A7S3 and 24-105 went for a tumble on concrete for a ways down a hill. And so my A7S3 and my 24-105 lens are off at Sony looking at what it's going to take to get them repaired because, yeah, it sucks. So I am streaming on my FX6, which means, look, there's no focus breathing compensation, or there's no focus breathing. So see how the frame doesn't move at all? Like it doesn't change? That's because of focus breathing compensation, which is really, really nice. So welcome everybody. Brandon's Drone Life and Brenner. Hey, Paul, thank you for being a channel supporter. Appreciate it. H4 Services, you're here. I saw you're here. Early question submission. H4 Services. My experience and advice with insurance. Obviously you need liability, but hull insurance or any other add-ons. Great question, H4 Services. For liability, are you asking like who I use or what I recommend? Most productions I work on have a requirement for like a $2 million, $5 million liability policy. I've been going through Skywatch AI, Skywatch.ai. They've been pretty good price-wise, and so it's pretty comparable in the same area. For hull insurance, I don't do hull insurance because it's kind of covered under DJI Care Refresh. So, and it's easier to go through DJI Care Refresh, at least, first few times. So, yeah. So that's my liability for sure. And then depending on the projects you're working on, I would say, a minimum, I would say you're going to want $1 million policy, $1 million liability. $1 million goes fast these days. God forbid something bad happens. You go fast. So $1 million for sure, maybe $2 million, depending, on what you're doing. So yeah. Bob Casey, Craig Goodspeed, Drone Shots, Jeremiah. Let's see. Good to be in a live chat. Usually had to catch another time. Awesome, Jeremiah. Glad you made it. USA Drone Flyer. Hi. Barkley. Jimmy J. What are you up to, man? Ever watch my own intro? Sometimes I do, Jimmy J. Sometimes I sit and I look at stuff I've shot and I'm like, holy crap, what even is my life? And that, if you haven't watched my Inspire 3 review, you should go watch it just for the footage. I guess the last few drone reviews I've done have been insanely good footage. But the Inspire 3 review, filming some of that stuff, it was just surreal in so many ways. Partly because I'm getting to work air to air with a fantastic helicopter pilot who's amazing, and the fact that she is also wanting to push the envelope to get some good stuff. As far as totally safe, but just wanting to do things that are going to be amazing. And yeah, so that Inspire 3 review, you really should watch it just for the footage. H4 Services, right? I wish I lived somewhere interesting too. Interesting though, we have in the last 10 days gotten 38 and a half inches of snow, 38 over 1 meter of snow. 38 and a half inches. If we get one more inch, which it is right now is snowing very hard, so it's very likely, we will set the all-time record for the most snow ever received in November. And we are just barely halfway through November. So could be an interesting winter. It's a lot of snow out there. And on the other hand, it's supposed to stop snowing tomorrow at some point. And then by the weekend, it's supposed to be in the single digits and then negative temperatures. So, yay. When people say I'm cheating and I get all these amazing places to film, while that's true, I also pay a pretty price to live here, both financially and physically, because I deal with some pretty hard, nasty environmental conditions sometimes. So the next few videos you see coming from me will look considerably different than the last few you've seen, because it's shifted solidly into winter here. Let's see. iPhone 15. Yeah, I wish. Question. Air 3 or Mini 4? Which do I prefer? Bob Casey. I prefer the Air 3 personally because of that 70mm lens, and it's just a little bit, it's beefier for wind and locations and stuff that I go. That being said, the Mini 4 Pro is a solid drone. It's a great drone. If you know its limitations, it's really, really good. I have a video coming that's basically like the Pocket 3 and the Mini 4 is like, it is the ultimate travel camera combination that you could possibly have. It is so ridiculously small and lightweight, but the quality you can put out from those two products is ridiculous. It's so, so good. So, yeah. Anyway, Tammy Jean, hey. Loading fish mode. I like that. That is great. Great aim. Scott, I live in Anchorage. I work a lot of places around Alaska, out in rural areas. And like a couple of weeks ago, I was up by Adigan Pass. I drove up there. And so I'm all over the place, but I'm based in Anchorage. Let's see. H4 services. Man, you guys are chat up a storm. Awesome. Keep it coming. Look, Mama Drone, almost to 100K. I know. It's so close. It's really cool. And I kind of blown away because I remember 4 years ago, I just broke 10,000, I think. And I was like, 100,000 feels just so far away, but here we are. So you only have 1 million. I think 1 million is fine in most cases. I think I think it's fine in most cases. I usually end up at 2 million because usually the productions I work on require that as a minimum. 2 or 5 million is what most productions that I've worked on require. But yeah. So. Let's see. Yeah, hit the thumbs up. Ryland, great question. Pocket 3 or 15 Pro Max? Wait, 15 Pro Max for vlogging. Oh, gotcha. So I really do want to do a video comparing the 15 Pro Max to the Pocket 3. There's some really great comparisons out there. Like honestly, if you have the 15 Pro already, the 15 Pro Max, start with that. The cameras on that are super solid and it does a great job overall. The Pocket 3 is still going to beat it out in low light because it has a better, bigger sensor. And even with all the computational stuff that Apple is doing, it's still better. Plus, the stabilization of the Pocket 3 is just ridiculously hard to beat. It really is. And, well, actually, yeah. I was going to say, the one other thing is that you have the wireless mic system setup that pairs with the Pocket 3 and tracking. Tracking is pretty cool and useful if you use it. But if you're just like walking around hand-holding, you're not going to use it that much. I would say the big difference was the microphone, having that direct mic to the phone. But then again, I think it was Tyler Stallman showed that you can pair the DJI Mic 2 to an iPhone 15 Pro Max. So, anyway, there you go. Ryland, all right. I will see if I can answer that here in a sec. I'm trying to make sure I've got everybody up to so far. There's that. Let's see. Is the snow... Barkley. Jake says snow shill. Yes. All my videos are sponsored by Snow. I do have a sponsored video coming up, and I'm trying to figure out how to integrate it because the company that's sponsoring it is nothing to do with videography or photography. So but it is something that I use and like a lot. So I'm trying to figure out how to integrate it. Anyway, I got some thoughts and we'll see. But yeah, so I'm kind of excited. Those are the kind of sponsorship deals I'm more excited about, because anytime a company sponsors the deal, the video, which I haven't had many sponsored videos. I've had a sponsored video that never got paid, so there's that. Yeah. Anyway, Scott, you just want to say, really enjoy the videos, both information and cinematography, beautiful stuff. Thank you, Scott. I really do appreciate that. And not just because it stokes my ego, but I do. I genuinely appreciate it, because there are two things. One, there are times that I lose sight of the spectacular places that I get to go, because for me, as bad as it sounds, it is kind of like everyday occurrence. I mean, not every day, but like, once or twice, 3 times a week, I get to go to these places. I mean, they're literally right out my back door, hour drive away, and I'm in these spectacular locations. So I lose sight sometimes because I'm familiar with them. They're normal for me. And then also, like, I just, sometimes I'm putting these things together and I'm like, does anybody even care about this, like the subject matter I'm shooting? I don't know. So I do appreciate that a lot. Oh, great. Now my phone. Come on. So anyway, thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. Let's see. Okay. Rylan Russell, someone with 12,000 subs. You love to hear some of my biggest takeaways or lessons learned now that I'm almost at 100K. The big lesson, the big takeaway is that subs don't matter nearly as much as people who are engaged with your content. So I'll put videos out, and I have a lot of people that are subscribed to the channel that do not watch most of the videos I put out. And that's partly on me in kind of the way I've gone about the videos that I put out. I mean, they're all video, photo related, but a lot of my subscribers are here for drone content only, or they're here for camera content only. And that makes sense. I try and structure the videos in a way that's an engaging story that you would want to watch regardless if you're interested in the product or not. I don't know how successful I've been at that in the past. I feel like I'm making a bit more progress on it now as far as the story element of the videos for a review video. So the challenge will be, now I'm going to be reviewing this, which I've rented. So just so you know, the next couple of camera reviews you've seen have not been sponsored. They haven't been sent to me either. I've rented them because I wanted to review them, because I've had, this doesn't even have a, oh, nice. It doesn't have a sticker on there. Because I've had people ask about them, and I think it's legitimate. Are they good cameras or not? Or people should they? Does this have a? Oh yeah. So this is the A6700. I just got done filming the FX30 review, which is essentially the cinema version of the A6700. So yeah. Anyway. So subscribers don't matter nearly as much. It's hard to see that when you don't have a lot of subscribers, but the more you get, the more you realize that really doesn't. That what really matters is people like you all who are here tonight, which I deeply appreciate, engaging with the content, hanging out on a live stream with me, watching videos. So I endeavor to put out videos that are informative, but also, I don't know if I want to use the word entertaining, but engaging, I guess, story-driven videos, and informative. Like, I want them to be helpful and informative to people. So, yeah. And then the other big thing is, you will grow faster. I have not grown as fast as I could have if I just, like, really focus down on just drones, or just action cameras, or just video and photo work with these kind of cameras. So, but ultimately my goal is to help anybody who wants to like move into doing video photo work, whether it's with drones or cameras or whatever. I want to help you get into that as a solo creator. The reason I picked solo creators, one, nobody was really talking about it when I started talking about it 4 years ago or 5 years ago, whatever it was. that wasn't a thing. Like, I did a lot of research to see if my catchphrase solo creator was a thing. But really what it is if you're going to start doing video or photo work as a business, or a side hustle or whatever you want to call it, you're going to be doing it by yourself. So my goal is to teach you how to do it the best way you can by yourself. And then, yeah, in 6 months, a year, 2 years, whatever, you probably won't be doing it by yourself. If you moved into it full time, you might have started to hire people to help you. So yeah, anyway, long story, but that's what I'd say is really focus on the content you want to create, and the audience you want to speak to is the big thing. And I sometimes wish I had done that better in the early on, because I think the channel would have grown a lot faster. But all that to say that I am very, very happy with where the channel is, and I love hanging out with you all on live streams on Wednesday night every chance I get. So let's see. Okay, wow, you guys are chatting up a storm. That's awesome. Keep it up. I'll try and catch up now. How much is insurance a year, give or take? So it depends highly on the drone model, Look Mama drone, but I think right now for $1 million policy, it might have been a $2 million policy for a year. I think it's like at $1,000 or $1,500 a year, something like that. But that's for a Mavic 3 with no hull replacement. Hull replacement goes up a fair amount. And then also, if you're flying an Inspire 3, it's going to go up dramatically. It's a much larger drone. So yeah, anyway. Better to offer numerous services, thermal mapping drone videos, or pick one to specialize in multiple services. Should one have separate sites or an umbrella sort of thing? Jeremiah. Oh, that's a great question. Let me see. Robert was in person flying a drone yesterday, shooting through the large belly opening of the 1,000 feet. Oh, that's awesome, Robert. That sounds really awesome. Hey, Chris Hope. Okay, Jeremiah. So your question. Numerous services. So I think anytime you start doing anything, like I do, you have to be kind of a jack of all trades. You get to specialize more as you get into later. Like, I do a lot of work for a lot of different things. I do ground camera work, I do drone work, I do FPV work, all kinds of stuff. And like the ground camera work consists of interviews, it consists of corporate videos, it consists of like long form podcasts with people. And then, or like short promo videos for products. I just shot one of those yesterday. And so it really is kind of that's ground camera work, but then I'll include drone work in some of that. But then I also get hired as a drone pilot for a lot of projects where I'm just doing drone work. And honestly, I love those because it's a lot of fun and I don't have to edit any of the footage. So I think to start out with, you need to offer a fairly broad range of services, but all services that you can do well. Don't offer services that you don't have equipment for, or at least that you can't easily get or rent equipment for on a short-term basis, because I wouldn't recommend going out and buying an enterprise class drone and then launching an inspection business. You need to know that there are people who your services would be in need of. That was a weird way to say that. You need to know there are people who need that service before you buy, $6,000-7,000 worth of equipment. So that, and then as you go along, you can start to specialize more and more. I've started getting somewhat of a reputation for the guy who does stuff with helicopters up here. So a lot of the local helicopter companies are starting to reach out and ask me to work with them, which I am totally cool with because I love it. And someday, when I get my private pilot license for a helicopter, it'll be even more fun. But yeah. All right, let's see. So hopefully that answered your question, Jeremiah. H4 Service is a drone video guy who has decided to learn ground photography and video so you can better serve your customers. I appreciate that you have content that covers it all. Thank you, H4 Services. So on that, H4 Services, what do you feel I could do more of to help you more? Because I'm transitioning now into some more ground-based camera reviews. But yeah, are there any things that you've got questions about that if I made a video about, it would be tremendously helpful for you? Hey, Night Train, captivating. I hope so. Barkley 107 Drones, you're right. The YouTube algorithm does put a lot of weight on how many people have the video in the recently viewed list. It also puts a ton of weight on how many people watch throughout the video. Retention, watch time retention is huge. So those first 30 seconds are crucial. And then the longer people watch your video, the more the algorithm goes, oh, people like this video, and then we'll start showing it to more people. Rylan, thanks for the answer. Have our income streams changed and shifted now that I have 100K? More brand deals, courses. Rylan, well, I am developing more courses and more products, I guess I could say. Like I started selling LUTs for the Mavic series of drones, or basically anything with D-Log or D-Long-M in it. And then I've got the one course teaching people how to fly drones, like super beginner course. The next thing I'm working on that I'm going to try and get out in the next few months, ideally, is like a more in-depth drone work course on how to, how you build a business around drone work, and then also how you, what do you do when you get on site? How do you set your drone up? How do you look for shots and angles and kind of that sort of stuff? So that's coming. Brand deals, I feel like I probably do the worst job in the world at brand deals. I probably leave a lot of money on the table not pushing for more brand deals. And it's partly that's frustrating sometimes because I also don't get approached by brands that are working with other creators, and many other brands that I've reached out to never get back to me. So yeah, brand deals that's a weird thing, and it's such a Wild West thing of I don't know. There's really no roadmap on how to price things. So one of my goals this year is to get brand deals up much, much higher. But to do that, I think I'm going to have to call in somebody like Roberto Blake, who is, he's been helping creators for years. He really knows his stuff. And having somebody like him come in and consult with me and go, you should be asking this much for brand deals, I think would be helpful. Because right now I feel very just out in no man's land asking for random numbers. So yeah, but I am pushing more for brand deals. Ad revenue took a big jump a couple years ago, but then it's been pretty flat ever since then. Last year was decent. This year, it really has gone down. You can tell people have pulled back on advertising. Even now should be a really high advertising time because it's getting close to Christmas, but I haven't really seen that bump that usually happens. So, yeah, it's interesting. Don Hawkins, thank you for becoming a channel supporter. Because of your change on style, I now have a few cameras in your search history. Craig, I'm glad to hear it. And also, I'm sorry, I guess. I don't know. Jeremiah, how much does having a channel help you get work? If so, does it drive business to my way, or does it show you to potential clients? So that's a great question, Jeremiah. It does drive business to me. The whole reason I've gotten work with companies like Caterpillar, Soaring Badger, Colin in Chicago that I work with a lot, he found me based on I think it was the original Mavic Pro review. So I have gotten a lot of work because I have a YouTube channel. One of the helicopter pilots I'm supposed to work with on some heli skiing stuff this winter, we were talking the other day, and he goes, yeah, by the way, I've been watching your stuff for a while, and I'm super excited to work with you. Because I was going into it, I was just this is typically how I approach working with a drone and a manned aircraft, and this is what I do, and this is how I like to do it, and these are the steps I take, so we both feel comfortable, everybody feels safe, all of that sort of stuff, which I'm doing a whole video about. I really am, I promise. I feel like I've been promising that for forever. But he was kind of oh yeah. He's I've seen a bunch of your videos. I'm not worried about that at all. So that it does help. And it for that thing alone, I would recommend that anybody who wants to do this, start posting stuff on YouTube. One, it challenges you to create stuff, which is always good. And then it gives you a portfolio that people can find. So even if it's not, some multi-billion-dollar brand that reaches out to you that says, hey, we want to hire you to do this. If a local company's oh, we noticed this on Instagram. then all that stuff helps. And so it's kind of a good digital calling card. Harrison Family Vlogs. It has been a while, and I was thinking of you the other day because I just did a review. I filmed it today on the FX30, and I'm working on the A6700 review, which should be coming up shortly. And I was thinking of you, wondering how things have been for you and where you've been. Hopefully you've been well. Shooting Nikon. Alan, not true. Nikon makes some great glass, and they still make very, very good cameras. Yeah. A lot do use Sony, and I think that's because Sony really did a hard push with influencers and online creators. And I think for a lot of people, like, Sony's a great system. But if you're coming from Canon or Nikon, where you have a lot invested in glass, stay in that system. The cameras Nikon and Canon are putting out now, the last few years, like they're incredible cameras. Yeah. So, okay, let's see. Drone damages are high. Nowadays, car insurance companies should just fold up. They on the out night train. Yeah, you're not wrong about that. Helicopter Mountain YouTube dude. Tyler, how's it going, man? Yeah, sort of am. Yeah. Let's see. Raphael, you have an A7C for a bit now and wanted to know if there's enough changes to upgrade to the newest version just released. I use the camera for personal pictures and some vlogging. So Raphael, I've used the A7 Mark II. I was thoroughly impressed by it. It's a really, really great camera. If you have the budget and you're like looking to get better, it does have better video quality. It does have a little bit better photo quality because they're a little larger, but they're just a little better too. The autofocus and the stabilization in it are phenomenal. Like, just incredibly good. But other than that, like, the A7C still produces a great image, great photos. The autofocus works well. So, if it were me, I probably would, but that's because I use the camera a lot. And I even thought about buying one just because the stabilization for handheld stuff is so good. Excuse me. But now I am probably waiting to see how much my repair bill on my A7S III and lens that I dropped out the back of my car and watched tumble down a steep driveway for a while is going to cost. So I was going to buy a 50mm 1.4 and maybe an A7C Mark II. And both of those things are now waiting to see how much I have to pay to get my camera fixed. But yeah, I think with what you're doing, I think you'd probably be fine sticking with the A7C and buying, maybe a different lens that in fact, a different lens. Another video I've got coming is about this. This is the Tamron 17-50. I freaking have just fallen in love with this lens, even though it's a f4. So it's not the greatest at low light, but this thing is such a great lens, and it's been so much fun to shoot with. So reviews coming soon on this. But yeah, so that's kind of where I fall. Unless there's something that you're unhappy with the photo quality or the video quality, I would just stick with the A7C. It's a super solid camera still. Jackson B Films. Am I going to review the A9? Yes. The second that I can get my hands on one, I'm going to review it. And I've got some things in the works that means I might be able to get my hands on one early. I can't say more than that yet. But if the opportunity comes up, I'm going to jump all over it because I do really want to test that camera out. I am considering buying one. So expensive, but here's why. Hear me out. So on the A9 Mark III, I don't think most people need that camera. Unless you do just tons of high-speed sports photography, you don't really need the camera. The reason I'm considering buying it is not because of the 120 frames a second. It's 100% the global shutter. Because of all the air-to-air, the aircraft work I do, every now and then I will get bent blades from the rolling shutter on cameras, or stuff will look weird. So having global shutter would eliminate that completely and would enable me to not worry so much about making sure my shutter speeds are right to not have bent blades. So Yeah. Anyway, other than that, it's a super impressive camera. It looks amazing. But I think it's probably not for most people. But I will be doing a review of it the minute that I can get my hands on one to test and play with. And if that means it's the one I buy in 3 months, whenever it actually comes out and hits the market, then that's what that means. But I am doing one. Hope you're doing well, by the way. Let's see. Okay, look, my video. Does it make it? Yes, it does. Look, Mama Drone, it does. The more of you that watch a video, if you watch it all the way through, even most of the way through, if you get toward where I usually am like, hey, click on this over here, it does tell the algorithm something. Now, if you watch through and then you click on that video that I tell you to click on, that makes a huge difference in the algorithm. But I don't click through unless it's going to be helpful to you. But yeah. KSA, you want to use Cinematch to match Action 4 and A7S3. The only camera with D-Log M in Cinematch is the Mavic 2 Pro. Do you think that's a good option? Not really. I've messed with it and it's different. The tuning on it is quite different. So the best thing to do would be to manually grade the Action 4 and then match the A7S3 up to it, or do the A7S3 and then try and match up the Action 4 to it. The D-Log M is okay. It's a decent starting point, but you do have to mess with the colors a fair amount to get it to kind of land in the same place. I think actually the better match, if I remember right, is the Air 2S D-Log on that one. And then you still have to play with it quite a bit, but yeah. But Cinematch is a great color grading tool. I use it a lot to tweak and fix white balance issues and all kinds of stuff. It's good that way. Let's see. Okay. Jevin probably has some good thoughts on brand deals. Ryland, yeah, he and I have been talking. We talk a fair amount, and so we've been talking, and he's been pointing me in some directions, which is helpful too. Don't know if you follow Nick Nim. Yep. About new program, he says his minimum is 10K. What do you mean his minimum is 10K, Jimmy J? I do follow Nick Nimmin, both the Nimmin brothers. Review. Hey, good to see you again. Look, Mama Drone, what about that camera sensor that just came out? I was thinking from Sony, not sure what it was. Camera sensor. I'm not sure which one you're talking about. I know they did that camera that's for drones, but it's more for inspection work and photos. It's not necessarily for filming stuff. So awesome, H4. Okay, cool. So I'm going to try and include some more BTS stuff in the future here. But yeah, Jimmy J, it is the long tumble is the worst. So I pulled my backpack out of the car and then all of a sudden watched my camera just tumbling down, and in slow motion as I'm watching it, just thunk, 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 all the way down. I mean, I had a small rig cage on it, so the damage to the camera, the physical damage wasn't that much, but something happened to where it's not working. And then the lens, of course, was the mount got pretty ripped up and tweaked out, and so yeah. Fingers crossed that it's not oh, your camera's better off just being replaced. Which I guess if it is, then I'll probably just get an A7C Mark II and go that route. Or a ZVE1. I might do the ZVE1. But fingers crossed that that's not the case. H4 Services. Okay, you'll be that guy. What the heck is global shutter? No problem. So on any mirrorless camera right now, the way it works, I'll do this one because this is a bigger sensor, it's easier to see, is essentially when you are filming video, taking photos, it reads the sensor across from top to bottom. Now, it does it really fast, obviously, but a global sensor reads the entire sensor at once. So it's the whole thing at once as opposed to going from top to bottom. Our power just blinked, so I'm not sure if I'm still streaming. I've got to, it says I am. So am I still live? You got to tell me if I'm still live because our power just blinked off and on and a bunch of stuff just shut up. Still on. Okay, good. Thank you, Sam Marcus. Appreciate that. I was like, that's my whole screen over here. Like I've got a backup power supply on everything because of stuff like this. But the monitor went dead. The computer didn't. The monitor did. So it was just kind of like, okay. Are we still going? We're still good? All right. So, yay. Snowfall coming down. So anyway, so global shutter reads the entire sensor at the same time instead of top to bottom. That isn't a big deal until you start moving quickly side to side, because as you move quickly side to side, like, and I'll show you actually in the video coming up about this and the FX30, that you'll see these kind of strange, like you'll get bent, straight things that should be straight up and down will start bending because it's reading the sensor out, at different times. So anyway, that's global shutter. Reads the entire sensor all at once, so you get perfectly straight lines no matter how fast you're going. It also makes a big difference in stabilization because it just has a more natural feel and look to it. So yeah. Anyway. Okay. Is it possible to pair Mavic 3 Pro, RC Pro controller, and goggle Integra? James, I'm not sure about the goggles Integra. I would think so because you can do the goggles V2. So you should be able to. I don't have the Integra goggles. I only have the V2s. So, or the goggles too, I mean. So, yeah, that is an excellent question. But I don't know personally. I think you can. I believe you can, but I'm not positive. Third of the views, 10 toes. 10 toes, that's a good point. I've talked to a lot of creators, and pretty much everybody's in the same boat where like views are way down. And I think it's because of YouTube's obsession with shorts right now. I think they're just pushing short form content really, really hard. But the problem is they took away one of the ways that creators monetize shorts, and that's links in the video description. And the payout for AdSense on shorts is abysmal. It's terrible. Plus, what happens then is you bifurcate your audience where you've got, people who come for shorts content on your thing and long form content, but they're not the same, and a small percentage of them will mix. I don't like short form content that much. I prefer long form content. My kids probably way prefer short form content. Well, I say that, but then they sit and watch a 40-minute video of somebody playing Minecraft, so that's not necessarily true. Okay, let's see. The problem you see, really hope see Chaos. I believe they're working on it, but they're releasing a new product, or they just released a new product. So I think a lot of their time was going into that, but I think they'll get back on releasing camera updates here soon, which I really look forward to as well. Using some lights for the moody look or straight out of the camera. It's straight out of the camera. It's just different angles, but I do have lights. Like I've got a huge softbox over here. I've got a big soft and one over here, and lights. I have lights all over the place. And yeah, I just basically try to get it to where my skin, I'm a little underexposed, so I look a little, I'm a little more pale than I look on the stream, but I'm going to leave it that way because it makes me feel better about myself. Well, it's a little red. I should probably roll the reds off just a touch to make me look just a little more tan. Hey, Tech Drone. The problem you see with the A9 is the 2000 base ISO for log footage, Sam. I do agree with you on that. Although looking at some of the high log footage, like whatever 25,000 something, it looked pretty decent. It wasn't terrible. But yes, the 2000 base ISO is going to be interesting to work around. NDs are going to be a must for stuff. But again, like that camera is really a high-speed photo-centric camera. I mean, the fact that it can do video stuff is great, but it's really a high-speed photo-centric camera is what it was aimed for. So, yeah. Anyway. You're going to need a ton, exactly. Rumor-centric, video-centric FX. So my guess is either an FX3 replacement or an A7S3 replacement, which I probably would lean toward like an A7S4, which I'd be really excited about, to be honest, because I love the A7S3. The low light is mind-blowing. In fact, I've got some videos coming up about the Aurora, chasing the Aurora and stuff like that I filmed with the A7S III. And every now and then I get that camera out and go out and do stuff and just ridiculously low light, like not even a full moon. And I'm reminded how insane it is that a camera I can hold in my hand, this size, and I'm filming in the 2 a.m. with nothing but moonlight. It's insane. Anyway. Oh, okay. Gotcha, Jimmy J. Yeah, but he's got a very well established, he's got a much larger channel than me. Although, so for me, for brand deals and sponsorships, I'm going to start pushing to move my pricing quite a bit higher, partly because and one of the values I add for it is that, brands will get like photos and video clips of their product out in some of the locations in Alaska. But so I'm going to kind of try and offer like a 2-tier system where it's like, you just want to sponsor a video, this is what it costs. You want sponsor a video, but you also want access to the clips that I shoot of your product as part of the sponsorship video. Then that's, a whole different cost. Anyway, so we'll see. But I know I need to up my rates. I know that because the last brand deal sponsorship deal that I said yes to, and they said yes to, they said yes really fast. So I was like, crap, that means I'm underselling myself. So business tip, if people say yes instantly, your prices is too low. You want a few people to say no. If nobody's saying no, your pricing is too low. If everybody's saying no, your pricing is too high. But you want a few people to say no. You don't want people to go yes instantly. You don't want everybody to say yes instantly. So yeah. Ryland, I'm not doing shorts. Partly it's been a time issue for me editing the shorts, but also it's been a thing of like, I've kind of wanted to see how it plays out on other people's channels. And it is kind of playing out like I thought. Their long form content watch time is going down. Their short watch time is going up, but also their income is going down because long form is what pays better. Shorts don't. So yeah, that's why I haven't jumped into shorts. I probably would be well over 100,000 if I really jumped on it, but yeah. Okay, still streaming. Global sensor. Let's see. Look, Mama Drone, the game change global sensor. It's not so much that it's a game changer. It's just that global sensors really haven't been in a small mirrorless body like this before. Like the Komodo has had a global sensor for years. But the game changer part of it is now you can shoot. You don't have to worry about getting banding with lighting, especially LED lighting, because it flickers at a certain frequency. And then you also don't have to worry about any sort of weird lines if you're moving quickly while you're filming or taking photos. Like everything is going to be exactly like you see it with your eye, because our eyes are essentially global shutter. Like we see the entire picture of what we see in its entirety. Now we look and focus at different objects really rapidly during our, what we're looking at. But our eyes, our brain takes the entire picture at once. It doesn't look and scan down your eyeball. That would be weird. So, but that's, yeah. So that's why when you see, trees going by you on a street, or, you look from one side to the other really quick and you don't see like telephone poles bend sideways because your eyes are a global sensor. So it more... I guess that's probably the better way to say it, is that global sensors more naturally produce what our eyes produce. So the footage that comes out of a global sensor camera looks more natural to us. There. Louis Ponce. Hey, long content and your best. Okay, let's see. I got to make sure. I will get to your question here shortly. Okay, got that one. So high speed videography better? Yes, it is better for sure. It's better for just more natural looking footage as well. But also the fact like you won't have any banding issues with lights. You don't have to fight with strobe lights or anything like that. It just basically like it works. Yeah. Okay. Somebody asked, Care Refresh, a good option for your cave clipping Mini 4. Just curious, Care Refresh is a no-brainer to get for the Inspire 3, but it ain't cheap. But yes, BrizWiz, yeah. So I've had Care Refresh on the last, 5 or 6 drones I've owned, and it has been a lifesaver multiple times because of an eagle that took one of my Mavic 3 Cinis out, a flock of pigeons that took another one out, the ice cave roof. Yeah, I highly recommend Cure Refresh. It's really great. And for the Inspire 3, I would recommend it. That's a very expensive drone, and I definitely would recommend it. All right, so Louis, you asked, should you sell your A7 IV or for an A7C Mark II, or am I letting YouTubers get to you? LOL. That's a super solid question, man. Yeah, because I had an A7 IV. It's a great camera. I upgraded to the A1 because I did need that 4K 120 and the HD 240 from time to time when I'm working with helicopters and aircraft. So in some ways, though, the A1 has been more frustrating to work with just because, although I love the 8K, it does overheat easier than the A7 IV did. But your next question not about that. You're asking about the A7C Mark II. So for you, I mean, it would be more of a side grade. The biggest improvement you would see would be in the handheld stabilization. It is much better on the A7C Mark II. But other than that, it's pretty much identical. Honestly, I prefer the body style of the A7 IV. So the only reason I was considering getting an A7C Mark II, in addition to the A1, is that it's this size. Now, this is not fair because this has a cage on it, so it's a little bigger, but it's fairly small. Like it's quite a bit smaller. And so I was like, well, and the handheld footage is quite smooth. So I was kind of like, oh, maybe I'll get one because it's better for that. And it'd be a better overhead camera for top-down shots, which I've been doing more of. Yeah. But now I'm waiting to see how much it's going to cost to get my A7S III repaired. And then also thinking about like, well, in 3 months, I'm going to spend $6,000 to get an A9 Mark III. Then I probably should just not get the A7C Mark II. Unless I sell my A1 and use it as like a in-between camera until the A9 Mark III comes out. So, honestly, dude, I would just stick with the A7 IV. Great camera. It's better for video and photo work because of the way the controls are laid out, in my opinion. So, yeah. James Wang, I have flown many of them in the snow, a lot. And in fact, I have a video where I'm flying one in heavy, heavy snow. And they've all survived. And in the rain, and they've survived well. So they do something to waterproof or water resistant coat their electronics inside, I think. A7S4, which yes, you pull a global shutter and you pull out the CC. Sam, you and I are on the same page. I'm kind of like, man, the only thing I would like if they could, the A7S3 or A7S4, like if it just had I guess I don't really care if it has more resolution. If it had a global shutter and then some of the other improvements, the AI autofocus and all that, I would be thrilled. Mike Cosmo, Black Friday coming up. Is there anything you're looking into getting? Or would you recommend keep an eye out for? I know SD cards are usually a good deal. Yeah, SD cards, micro SD cards for sure. I have so many of these little 4 terabyte hard drives. I would definitely look at that. I wouldn't get anything less than 2 terabytes anymore. 2 terabytes to 4 terabytes is all I would get. Just the little SSDs for storing footage on is great and working off of. Those are kind of what I'm looking at. That's pretty much it for me. I might, depending on how much it costs to repair my A7S III and the lens that broke, I might try and pick up the 50mm 1.4. I would like to get another. I don't have a 50mm right now, and I kind of miss it. There's a couple of times where I could have used it, so yeah. Peter McLennan, any chat about iPhone log? Not yet, Peter, but we can. If you want to chat about it. I haven't really messed with it yet personally, but for everything I've seen, it's very, very good if you're getting the phone. I don't think it's a reason to upgrade to the phone. This is still a 13 Pro. And I was kind of back and forth that I was like, it's just so hard for me to justify spending like $1,200 or $1,300, $1,400 on a phone, man. It's so expensive, and this one still works great. So yeah, But the iPhone log, the Apple log, looks very, very good. So yeah. Decommissioned Mavic 3 standard. Why is it removed from stock or totally failure? So they replaced it with the Mavic 3 Pro, and then so you have the Mavic 3 Cine, or the Mavic 3 Classic, and the Mavic 3 Pro, and that's basically why they got rid of the Mavic 3 standard, was because they replaced it with the Mavic 3 Pro. So, which I do like. That 70mm lens on the Air 3 and the Mavic 3 Pro is really, really nice. So yeah, Alaska Filmer. We haven't totally missed the stream. There's 7 minutes left. Apple log doesn't sound good, Louis. Yeah, I know, but it is pretty good. And the fact that you can record directly to an SSD out of the USB-C port on the Apple, that is like, that does have me excited. I was kind of like, okay, maybe I'll upgrade my phone and then just use that as my B camera for everything. But yeah, it still has limits. Low light, still limited. Like, that's where cameras are still have value there. I mean, not the only place, but one of them. And Brenner, good point. Any tips on flying drones around birds? You've read reflective tape helps. I haven't tried that yet. That helps. Some people say putting googly eyes on drones helps. Ken Heron would tell you that, so I haven't tried that particularly. But I do think putting reflective tape, or from what I've seen, aggressive colors, like really strong bright red or bright green, those in nature, those colors, they symbolize danger. Like poisonous animals are a lot of times very bright red or very bright green. And so that I think is probably the most helpful thing. And then, don't like go by their nests, because they will start attacking you there. So yeah. Let's see. Tento, something took out your Air 2 just before sunset the other day. Used Find My Drone to find the spot where I lost contact. Found no trace of the drone. Really? Dang. That's weird. Oh, that's really weird. Man, I hope somebody didn't, knock it out of the air. Louis? Awesome. As much as it, I'm a bad YouTuber for not telling you to buy the latest thing and use my affiliate link in the description. But I am a big believer in use what you have until what you have is limiting you to the point where you can't produce what you want to produce with it. There's really no need to upgrade. As much as I'm telling people, this is the latest, greatest camera or whatever, I try not to just do that. I try and tell you, why this camera might be good for you, its strengths and weaknesses and stuff. But, and for me, reviews, equipment reviews on my channel, I want to be about, what is this thing capable of? So I got some pushback on my Inspire 3 review, because a bunch of people are like, you didn't talk about any of the weaknesses. I'm like, okay, yeah, there are some weaknesses. I mentioned a few of them in the Inspire 3 and 2 comparison video. But also, everything has limits. So I'm more interested in, what can you do with that piece of equipment, knowing what its limitations are? Can it produce great stuff? Yes. Do you want to sit and whine about the one thing it doesn't do? Okay, I don't care. I want to use a piece of equipment and make something with it. And as soon as I know what it can't do, then I know exactly what I can do with it. But as far as upgrading gear, I upgrade a lot because it's part of my YouTube channel. But anybody that asks, what camera should I buy? First off, if you have a phone, just start with your phone. That's how I started with my channel. I think I produced maybe 100 videos. Most of them aren't on my channel now, but I probably produced 100 videos with an iPhone 6 or 6S. Might have been a 6S. I don't remember. It's been a while. But you still can see my very early videos were all filmed on an iPhone 6 or 6S. Sometimes I had a gimbal. Sometimes I didn't. Sometimes I had a moment lens on there. Sometimes I didn't. But all the videos you see with the Air, the original DJI Air, were all filmed with an iPhone 6 or 6S. I don't remember. And I think all the videos with the original Mavic, any of the talking head stuff on the original Mavic, I'm pretty sure those were all filmed on an iPhone 6S. So, start with your phone. Phones are great. They're really great now. And you don't need to necessarily buy a camera as well. But you will find at a certain point that your phone is limiting what you can do. And then you go, okay, maybe I need to look at getting something with interchangeable lenses. Yeah, so, but then again, too, if you're going to be jumping into this to try and do this as a business and make income from it, then you do need to step up to something like this. Partly because, you want to charge people, but you also want to give them the value that they need or that they're paying for. So, yeah. Okay, there. But yeah, the A7C, still a great camera. I've even thought about buying or finding an A7 III, same thing, and doing a video with it just to show like that camera is still capable today. Still a great camera today. Yeah. All right. Tyler, do I think Red is holding back the camera industry with their patent and lawsuits for any camera shooting internal RAW? Yes, a little bit, but there are some cracks appearing in that armor now. So there are camera companies figuring out ways around it. So I'll be curious to see how that goes. Peter, put your Z6 Mark II to shame. So the iPhone Pro Max is a great, great movie camera. Yes, I will agree with you there. Until you get into really, really low light. There, the Z6 Mark II is going to really do substantially better. But yeah, the iPhone 15 Pro Max it's a great video camera, and it's crazy how good the stabilization on it is too. So yeah. What do I think? The Tamron or the Sigma 16-28 or the Tamron 17-28? I mean, I haven't used the Sigma. I've used the Tamron a lot, so I know it well. I think either one would go well. What is the Sigma price-wise? Oops. Sigma 16-28. The funny thing is that you go, it's 1 millimeter difference on the focal length, 849. I mean, if you got the budget for it, I think I'd go for the Sigma personally. Yeah. Yep, I'd go for the Sigma if you got the budget for it. Otherwise, Tamron's really great too. Selling your DJI Mavic 3 Pro, following DJI, what do I think is a fair price? MHM, is it the Cine model or just the standard, the Mavic 3 Pro, not the Cine model? Let me know that real quick. How many batteries? All right, Alaska Filmer, thanks for checking in, man. Drive safe. Yeah, the ice cobbles. Oh, the ice has been so bad, dude. Yeah. Be safe, be careful. Loading fish mode. Awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's exciting. That I was looking at some of that footage today, tweaking it a little bit here or there and starting to work on the edit a bit. And I still was like, oh my gosh. Because not only that, but I was flying the Inspire. It was 35 to 40 mile an hour winds. I mean, and then the next day I flew it, it was like 40 to 50 mile an hour winds. Watching the FPV feed in the Inspire like this, and it was handling it. The footage looks great. So it's like, oh, man, I want an Inspire 3. I don't want to pay for it, but I really want one. Any of you out there got like $25,000 extra and you want to send me an Inspire 3? Send me a DM on Twitter or Instagram. Oh, man. Okay. Use your Samsung photo shoot the shakiest video you've ever seen the other day. Happens. Standard with one battery. I would think you should be able to get... I would try for $1,700 to $1,800. Maybe $2,000 because you've got the RC Pro. Yeah, it started at like $2,000. It's just start around $2,000. You might come in at like $1,800, $1,700 something. But if you start at $2,000, I think that's probably pretty good, fair price. Let's see. Air 3, Mavic 3, Mini 4 impresses. Thanks, Mel. I appreciate that. You got a collection of drones there. Good ones too. Low light performance on the A7C2 is really good. Chris, it is really good. It is very, very good. All right, Jimmy J, take care, man. I got to wrap up the stream too. Can you fit on a Mavic 3? Not quite. Brian Anderson, you have the Tamron 35 to 150 and 150 to 500. What lens would you recommend to complement those on an A7 IV? Honestly, Brian, you're super into the Tamron ecosystem. I would probably get the 17 to 28 because that's what you're missing is the really, really wide stuff. The 17 to 28 is a really good lens. I don't think they've come out with the version 2 of that yet, but it's probably coming. But yeah, that's what I'd recommend. Unless budget's really not an option or an object. If budget's no problem, then get the new 16 to 35 from Sony. But otherwise, I get the Tamron 17 to 28. It's a super solid lens. And the reason I say the 17 to 28 over the 20 to 40 is 17 to 28 focus-wise performs a fair bit better, and then you get that extra width at the wide end. So that's what I would do. Jon Stewart, like the comedian Jon Stewart. I don't think anybody's ever told me that, but I'll take it as a compliment. All right, folks, that does it for this week's stream. I should be back same time, same place next week, right before Thanksgiving. No, not same place. I might be somewhere else using Starlink to stream actually. But other than that, thank you all for being here. The next videos to come up are, I have no idea, because I've been editing and recording videos like a madman for the last couple days. But I have videos coming, and hopefully you'll enjoy them. And until then, yeah, be safe, be smart. Thanks for being part of this community, watching these videos, hanging out with me here on the live stream. All of it. You guys are all awesome. I appreciate you. And yeah, we'll see you again soon in the next video. Cheers, everybody.